Are more crimes being committed? Are we less safe? Have some died? Joining us now is the executive director of the American Bail Coalition. Bail, B-A-I-L. What you have to put up to get out of jail if you're arrested. Is that legal? Is that in the Constitution? Should we do away with it? Jeff Clayton joins us now. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
The Eighth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It was one of the Bill of Rights. What is it? Why is it? And what is the history going back to England? Quickly.
Sure. The right to bail dates back to the Magna Carta. The right to bail was enshrined in the Constitution, prohibiting excessive bail. In Texas, there's also the statement in the Constitution that all persons shall be bailable by sufficient sureties. And what that means in practice is when it's time for somebody to get out of jail pending trial, a judge will make an assessment as to what sureties are sufficient, and that can be money conditions of bail, non-money conditions of bail, the whole basket of potential conditions, turn in your passport, etc.
Turn in your passport, promise that you won't leave the country, won't leave the county, put up your second daughter, your third wife, and I'm only just kidding there. So what is bond as it applies to, hey, I can't afford bond, so give me a get-out-of-jail-free card? Right.
Those are, recognizance bonds is what they're known as, personal recognizance bonds around the country. Texas has what's called a personal bond, and that's a bond where you don't have to put anything down and you just promise to appear. In Houston, as a result of the federal civil rights case, you have the sheriff's bonds, which are even a weaker version of a personal bond, where you're just let go and given a court date.
Okay. Is there a movement across America to allow anyone to go before a magistrate, a judge, and say, nope, I can't afford it? Therefore, that magistrate, that judge, gives them a get-out-of-jail-free card, and then many don't return and show up in court. What's going on?
Absolutely. There's a national movement that's really was spearheaded by Eric Holder. It has come to Harris County. In fact, the judge ruled that, if you don't have money, then you're just released. Luckily, the Fifth Circuit came back in and said, no, that's not the rule.
Okay, no. Wait a second. So Eric Holder, when he was AG within the Obama administration?
Exactly.
He started this movement that, hey, something's broken. Something is wrong. We've got too many sitting in jail waiting for their court date. And really, back to the Magna Carta, prior to that, the king could just say, arrest Terry Lowry, throw his behind in jail, and let him rot in hell.
Actually, bail dates to biblical times. Unfortunately, I don't have the citation for that off the top of my head, but it is in the Bible, and it does date way back. But to point out, Eric Holder, yes, he started this movement. It was a shoplifting case in a town called Clayton, Alabama. Christy Varden stole some stuff, and they alleged she couldn't afford her bail. She should be released. And that was, the launching of this major national movement, which, like I said, came to Houston, Texas.
Okay, now, it's my understanding that, the newspapers are all for it because surely we shouldn't let people rot in jail just because they can't afford bond. Now, you're with the American Bail Coalition. You all make money by providing bail for those arrested. So you might be a little tainted one way, but is the bail system designed to presume innocence, allow the citizen that has been charged the ability to remain free until they are convicted either by a judge or a jury of their peers? Is that the real reason behind bail or surety?
That is the real reason, and I would say regardless of whether there's a financial incentive or you're posting your own property or your own cash, the movement that we're seeing now is they just blanket people with non-monetary conditions because they don't have bail. And that's not a better outcome either. People are paying for their own supervision pending trial. People are paying for their own drug screening. People are paying for all this stuff rather than posting a bond.
The bleeding heart liberals and mainstream media, they'll always come up with an example of somebody who couldn't afford bail. their aunt, their uncle, their mother, their dad, their kids, their husband, their spouse, their whatever. They look at that person and say, I'm not putting up bail because if they skip town, then I've got to pay all of that, so I'm not going to do it. So the person charged is not released. Are there hard statistics that show in Harris County that suspected criminals charged who pled, I have no money, they were let out free? Is there evidence they've committed more crimes, and is there evidence where even a suspected DUI, driving under the influence, killed somebody?
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of statistics, and there's a letter from the Harris County Attorney's Office to the judge, which basically said that the failure to appear rate is 45%. The new crime rate is higher for those released on these free bails, which I didn't expect. But, normally it's fairly evenly distributed, but it's higher for on these bails. So, yeah, it is a parade of horribles, and it's happening. It's happening in Houston.
So a federal judge or state judge ruled against the bail system in Harris County. Which one was it?
It was a federal judge.
Okay, so it was appealed by the county to the Fifth Circuit. In wrapping up here in a minute or less,
sure.
How recently the Fifth Circuit issued a ruling. How did it rule, and what was its findings, and how will it affect citizens?
Sure. Well, it was extremely narrow, which means Houston could go back to the future on their bail system. Basically, it ruled that you could have a schedule of bail if you had a review within 48 hours. And the reason it's narrow is because before they had a hearing within 24 hours, but the defendant couldn't say anything, and that was a waste of time. And so that's really the narrow meaning is, hey, I get to say I'm poor within 48 hours, and that has to be considered along with all the other factors.
After 48 hours, if the defendant still says, I can't afford, do they get out of jail free?
Exactly. And this may actually make it harder on defendants because now the Fifth Circuit required them to go through to sign an affidavit and list out all their resources.
List their resources, and if they lie, they'll be charged again. And wrapping it up here with Jeff Clayton, Executive Director of the American Bail Coalition. How do we keep citizens safe if the criminal keeps getting a get-out-of-free-jail card?
I don't think we can. I think we need to let judges go back to doing their job, which is assess each case and decide, whether the bails should be raised from the schedule or to set all bails, to look at each individual. And that's the best, sort of most evidence-based way we have to do this and have for the last 700 years.
Another wacky outcome of the election of Obama. Find Jay and the American Bail Coalition on their website at americanbailcoalition.org. Jeff, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Have a great day.